Why is my hair falling out? It's a painful question I've heard from countless men and women. They describe waking up to clumps on their pillow, brushing with dread, or seeing more scalp in the mirror each month. And nearly every time, they've been told the same thing. It's irreversible. But that's not the full truth. Hair loss after 60 isn't just about genetics. It's often a sign of something deeper: decline in circulation, hormone balance, or inflammation that most people never realize is fixable. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast. Today's episode is for you. We'll explore a 3-oil remedy that's helping seniors all over the world regain stronger, fuller hair without pills, painful procedures, or false promises, no matter whether you're a man or woman. And guiding us through is a man who's seen it all and is still practicing medicine at over 100 years old. Doctor, the word is yours.
Thank you, John. So according to research from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, more than 60% of men and nearly half of women over the age of 65 report visible hair thinning. But what's worse is that the majority say they were given no real explanation and no plan to fix it. Just silence.
That's devastating, doctor, and I've seen it too. Patients who've spent years blaming themselves or wasting money on products that were never meant to work. And no one stopped to ask what the scalp actually needs to heal.
John, hair thinning is one of the most common but least respected signs of aging. It's often dismissed as vanity or blamed entirely on age or genes. But in truth, it's your scalp's way of telling you something isn't right. Whether it's poor blood flow, chronic inflammation, or a hormonal imbalance quietly brewing beneath the surface. The risk is that many seniors start chasing the wrong solutions.
Like pills that disrupt hormones or surgeries they don't need, right?
Indeed, so in this episode we'll walk through the 3 oils I trust most. We'll also show you how and when to use them, and why some people don't see results until they change one key thing, which we will explain in the end.
You know, this reminds me of a patient I had. Her name was Linda, and she was 67. She came into my clinic wearing a headscarf, clearly embarrassed, and I remember that she told me she felt like she was vanishing. She tried shampoos, collagen drinks, even PRP injections, and nothing worked. But no one ever looked at her circulation, or her hormones, or even asked about her scalp.
Because they don't see the scalp as a reflection of deeper systems, but it is. Always.
So let's go there. Let's begin with the truth about what's really causing the hair to thin after 60 and how to know what your scalp is trying to tell you, and then we dive straight into the first oil.
Hair thinning after 60 is not sudden. It's cumulative. It begins years earlier, often invisible, as circulation slows and nutrients stop reaching the roots. Over time, the follicles enter what we call a dormant state. Not dead, just inactive. And without blood flow, oxygen, and the right hormonal signals, the hair cannot grow, no matter how many shampoos or pills you try. That's why I say hair loss is not a cosmetic issue. It's a circulatory and endocrine signal written on the scalp.
That's such an important shift in perspective, because most people are taught to treat hair like a surface issue, when really it's downstream of deeper processes. I've had patients say, "I'm doing everything right," but they've never once considered blood flow or hormonal stress.
Yes, and that frustration is real. I've seen patients weep in my office, convinced they'd failed somehow. But what they were missing wasn't discipline, it was delivery. If your body isn't delivering nutrients to the follicles cannot grow. And after 60, blood vessels in the scalp begin to constrict, especially in people with high blood pressure, poor sleep, or inflammatory diets. And then, one by one, the follicles retreat.
That image, follicles retreating, it's haunting. But it explains why the change feels so fast, even though it's been building for years.
Exactly. By the time the hair starts falling out, the internal retreat has already begun.
That's what makes this such a confusing condition for patients. They see the symptom, but the cause is hidden, and no one teaches them how to trace it back. So let's do that. If poor circulation and hormonal shifts are behind this, then what does the body actually need to bring that follicle back to life?
That journey begins with one of the most powerful and most misunderstood oils in the world. It's been used for centuries in traditional medicine, yet dismissed for decades by modern science until the studies caught up. What makes it unique isn't just what it does at the surface, but how it communicates with the body beneath. It doesn't force growth. It invites it by awakening the tiny muscles, vessels, and receptors around each follicle. And when applied correctly, it doesn't just improve the scalp. It tells the body that this part of you still matters.
Wait, are you saying there's a way to actually reactivate dormant follicles without drugs or surgery? What is this oil?
It's rosemary oil, and its power lies not in what it smells like, but in what it does to the microcirculation of the scalp. Clinical studies have shown that rosemary oil can be just as effective as minoxidil, the pharmaceutical standard, in promoting new hair growth over time. But unlike drugs, it works by restoring the natural intelligence of the follicle, not by forcing it.
That's incredible, especially since most people still think of rosemary as just a kitchen herb.
That's the tragedy. It's been used medicinally for centuries to stimulate blood flow, even in stroke recovery. But when modern science ignored plants, we lost connection with remedies that actually support the body's own systems. And rosemary is one of those rare tools that reawakens what's already there instead of replacing it.
So how exactly does it work? What's happening under the surface when someone applies it?
When rosemary oil is massaged into the scalp, it dilates tiny capillaries, improving oxygen and nutrient delivery to dormant follicles. That first step is everything, because without circulation, nothing else works.
And it's safe for daily use? No risk of overdoing it?
For most people, yes. But it must be diluted in a carrier oil like jojoba or sweet almond to avoid irritation. I've seen patients apply it every evening gently for just 3 minutes. Over time, not only does the hair begin to return, but the scalp itself looks more alive, more pink, more elastic.
You're describing something deeper than just hair growth. You're describing healing.
Exactly, and the truth is, many people don't even realize how inflamed or tight their scalp has become until they begin this practice. The tension begins to release, the tissue softens, and in many cases patients report better sleep, less anxiety, because touch and scent are powerful medicines too.
So for someone listening right now, wondering where to start, would you say rosemary oil is their first step?
It is the first step, especially if the scalp feels cold, tight, or numb. That's a sign of poor circulation. Rosemary is your wake-up call, but it is only one part of the ritual.
That gives so much hope, doctor. Because for many people, hair loss feels like a door that's already closed. But what you're saying is the body remembers, the follicle remembers, and sometimes all it needs is the right nudge to come back online. So what's next? If rosemary restores blood flow, what's the next oil that supports the follicle once it's awake?
The next oil is thicker, slower, and heavier, and I often call it the anchor. It's castor oil. While rosemary wakes the follicle up, castor oil protects it. It creates the conditions for growth to last, not just begin. Its richness comes from ricinoleic acid, a rare fatty acid that soothes inflammation, nourishes the scalp barrier, and helps prevent future loss.
Castor oil, isn't that the one people used to take as a laxative?
Yes, and when taken internally, it stimulates peristalsis in the gut. But topically, its effect is much gentler and much more restorative. It acts almost like a sealant, calming the scalp improving blood retention and slowing down the release of prostaglandin D2. That compound, PGD2, is a known driver of follicle shrinkage, and it's found in high amounts on balding scalps.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about moisture. It's actually reversing part of the chemical process behind hair loss?
Exactly. People think of castor oil as a folk remedy, but modern science is beginning to catch up. Studies from Japan have shown that when castor oil is applied regularly to aging skin, not only does inflammation decrease, but the collagen structure improves as well. And when the scalp becomes calmer, thicker, and more hydrated, the follicle has the foundation it needs to stay anchored.
But it's such a dense oil. I've had patients say it's hard to work with or feels sticky. Doesn't that make it difficult to apply consistently?
It can be, yes, but only if used incorrectly. A small amount goes a long way. I tell patients to warm a teaspoon between their palms, then press, not rub, it gently into the scalp, especially at night. For those with finer hair, mixing it with the lighter carrier oils like argan or jojoba makes it easier to spread. And if washing is a concern, a gentle rinse with warm water and natural shampoo the next morning is usually enough.
So really, it's not about saturating the scalp. It's about coating the roots with something that holds them in place.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Rosemary brings life back to the follicle, but life without protection doesn't last. Castor oil gives the follicle shelter. It slows the damage, seals in nutrients, and reduces the likelihood of breakage or fallout.
It's amazing how something that seems so simple, just a topical oil, can create changes at the cellular level.
It's simple but not superficial. Castor oil interacts with the body's own healing mechanisms. It doesn't override them. It supports them, and the longer it's used, the more consistent the results. In some patients, I've even seen new hair sprout in once barren areas. Not fast, but steady, month by month.
That's powerful, because so many people give up too soon. They want miracles in weeks, when really, healing is about momentum. But with rosemary and castor oil working together, we're giving the scalp circulation and stability. Now it is time for oil number 3. I'm reading here that this oil helps with the hormonal shift that slowly starves the follicle.
That's right, John, especially in men and post-menopausal women, because it is blocking the very compound that tells the hair to stop growing. I am talking about pumpkin seed oil. And while it's not as well known as rosemary or castor, it's one of the most effective natural DHT blockers we have. DHT is a hormone that shrinks hair follicles over time, especially around the crown and temples. After 60, DHT sensitivity increases, and the body often produces more of it, especially in response to stress or inflammation. Pumpkin seed oil gently lowers that response without interfering with the body's natural hormone rhythms.
And that's what makes it safer than most pharmaceutical options, right?
Exactly. Unlike synthetic DHT blockers, which can disrupt libido, mood, or liver function, pumpkin seed oil works with the body, not against it. It's rich in phytosterols and zinc, both of which support hormonal balance. And for many seniors, that's the missing link.
So while rosemary restores blood flow and castor provides support, pumpkin seed oil actually stops the message that tells the follicle to die?
That's right. It interrupts that message at the source. And in doing so, it buys time for circulation to improve, for the scalp to calm down, and for hair to grow again under less pressure.
How is it used? Applied topically like the others, or taken internally?
Both methods are effective, but they work differently. When applied directly to the scalp, especially in thinning areas, it can locally block DHT and reduce inflammation. Internally, taking cold-pressed pumpkin seed oil can improve hormonal balance across the body which supports long-term follicle health. I often recommend a combination, but always tailored to the person's unique sensitivity and medical history.
And it has benefits beyond the hair too, doesn't it?
Yes, it supports prostate health, improves bladder function, and even helps regulate cholesterol. It's one of those rare oils that supports both external and internal aging. And for seniors, especially postmenopausal women or men with declining testosterone balance, it can make a visible difference in the texture and density of their hair.
It's encouraging to hear that, especially because most people assume once the follicle's gone, it's gone.
But that's the myth. In truth, many follicles are still there. They're just miniaturized, weakened, or asleep. And when we stop the hormonal signal telling them to retreat, they often come back, slowly, but they come.
That's the kind of hope people need, because it shifts the mindset from "I'm broken" to "I'm rebuildable." And combining all three oils, one to activate, one to anchor, and one to protect, gives us a complete layered approach. But here's the question I'm hearing already. Can these oils be blended into one formula, or do they have to be used separately?
Yes, they can be blended, but only if it's done thoughtfully. Each oil has a different density, absorption rate, and volatility, which means balance is key. A good blend usually contains about 60% carrier oils like jojoba or almond to create a base. Then you layer in smaller amounts of rosemary, castor, and pumpkin seed oil based on the scalp's needs. But if listeners want the exact recipe, they need to let me know in the comments.
So it's not just about mixing everything together and hoping for the best.
No, that's where most people go wrong. Too much castor can clog pores, too much rosemary can be irritating, and too much pumpkin seed oil might not absorb efficiently without the right base.
That's such an important point because in the world of natural remedies, more isn't always better. And especially with older adults, the skin can be thinner or more reactive.
Exactly. I always tell patients, test first. Apply a small amount behind the ear or on the inner arm. If there's no redness or itching after 24 hours, it's likely safe to proceed. But even then, start slowly. 2 to 3 times a week, not daily.
And does everyone benefit from the same ratio?
No, John. Some people need more rosemary to stimulate growth. Others need more pumpkin seed oil to block hormonal triggers. And for those with a very dry or inflamed scalps, castor becomes the star of the blend. The key is listening to your scalp, to your history, and to how your skin responds.
It really is about personal medicine, isn't it?
It is. Natural medicine is only powerful when it's precise. What works for one person may overwhelm another. So we start gentle, we watch, and we adjust. That's how we rebuild trust between the body and the treatment.
That gives our listeners a real sense of agency, that they can do this safely, and they don't have to get it perfect right away.
And if they're unsure, I always encourage them, leave a comment, ask your question. We'll respond, or even share a simple blend ratio that's worked for many of my patients. No one has to guess in the dark.
That's what I love about this protocol. It's not one size fits all, but it's still accessible. And for those who feel overwhelmed by choices or information, it's a relief to know that a few drops used with care can make such a difference. But let's zoom out for a moment. Oils are a key part of healing the scalp. But what else determines whether this works? What are the biggest reasons people don't see results, even when they do everything right?
The biggest reason people don't see results, even when they do everything right, is time. They expect a reversal in weeks when the body needs months. Hair growth moves in cycles, and if you've been losing hair for 10 years, it won't come back in 10 days. The oils work, but they work on the body's timeline, not our egos.
That's such a critical mindset shift. Healing isn't a transaction, it's a relationship.
Yes, and like any relationship, it needs consistency, attention, and patience. I've had patients ready to quit at week 4 only to see regrowth by week 12. But without faith in the process, they would have missed it entirely.
It's hard though, especially for people who've been disappointed so many times. That fear of wasting time again can be paralyzing.
I understand, which is why I always say, even if the hair doesn't come back as thick, your scalp will still be healthier. Your circulation will improve. Your inflammation will drop. You'll feel better. Not just look better.
That's a really important promise that the body always benefits from care, even if it takes a different form than expected.
Exactly. Progress may come as stronger strands or just fewer falling out in the brush. Either way, the body is responding. And when you treat your scalp with consistency, you're telling your body, I haven't given up on you.
That's something we all need to hear, especially in this phase of life when so many are told to expect decline or accept loss. You're saying no, aging is not a shutdown. It's an invitation to reconnect.
Yes, aging is not decay, it's communication. And if you listen carefully, the body will always tell you what it needs to heal.
Thank you, Doctor. For all listeners, let us know whether Dr. Hinohara should send you the recipe and whether you completed this episode. We would love to hear from you.